Hey,
Hey, hey, good evening, good evening.
Good evening.
how y'all doing out there? So we're gonna give a couple seconds before we get to talking about our reflections and relationships.
So many things to say, so much to say. We'll be focused today, though. We'll try. We'll try for
We'll
y'all.
try.
We'll
We're
try.
going to do our best. We're going to do our best.
As you guys are coming in, let us know you are here. Let us know, hey, what's up in the chat. As soon as we get some comments flowing in, we're gonna pop them back up on the screen. Go ahead, let us know y'all are in here to get this tea.
Yes, yes, and thank y'all for coming. So, kind of expect a little bit of 12 days the remix, we'll say. So, always relationships and reflections, but putting a little remix on it, a little plot twist, excuse me, if you will.
The remix. Yes.
Right. Yep, I can see us.
There we go. There we go. We can start off by introducing ourselves, ladies, if you want to do that while we wait till the people come in.
Oh, I'm going to start.
Yeah, you
Okay.
go.
Hello, everybody. I am Jamila Bashir, aka the IP Coach. Nice. I'm so happy to be here.
All right, and I am Anika S. Jones. I think a lot of y'all know how I feel about my S. Please say it. The lead consultant of Holistic Fluency. Happy to be here with my sisters.
Yes, and y'all know me, of course. This is Tangeray Porter, Chief Vision Strategist with Cultivated Connections Design and Consulting. And I'm so excited. Yes. They know I'm crazy.
Ah,
All right. Well, we could just dig into it if y'all ready. If y'all
I'm
ready.
ready.
I've been
I've been trying
ready.
to
You know, I've
behave.
been ready.
I'm
You know,
ready. We stay ready.
I've been ready.
So, one of the first things we're going to talk about just kind of a state of the union, school culture, team culture, district culture, wherever you want to jump in. Just what go.
Just go. Just go.
Yes.
Like all the teachers quitting. Like just go.
What you said that the great resignation isn't over. Is that what you said?
It's
No,
not over.
it's
Because
It's not over.
the quiet quitting, right, is a real thing. If you know what to look for, though.
But is it really quiet though?
But if you know what to look for, it's very loud. They're very loud about it. Honestly, if you know what to
I,
look for.
I feel like teachers have always been loud in regards to that.
Well, and you know what? Because I know Jamila, we talked about this the other day. Because a lot of people feel like they know why teachers are quitting. Can
That is
we?
very true.
Can we? In the
Can we talk
season,
about it?
can we say it's a wrap? It's a wrap for some things. Like these are some pet peeves. Some things we need to go ahead and speak on.
Yes, I'll
Um,
go first. It's a pet peeve of mine. I hear people say it all the time, but this is what you signed up for. Being a teacher, no matter what type of teacher you are, but this is what you signed up for. And it's like, no, I didn't sign up for the lack of support. I did not sign up for the lack of resources. I did not sign up for the disrespect. And it could come from your leadership, it can come from
from
the
multiple
students,
points.
parents,
Yeah.
from most places. I did not sign up for that. I did not sign up to be wearing the hat of a parent as well. I did not sign up for that. So when I tell you pet
What
peeve,
did you sign up for? Why did you start,
I
Jamila?
signed up to teach. I signed up to support students with IEPs, and that's what I signed up for, and to work as a team with my school, my fellow colleagues, the
Mhm.
parents, because it's a village. We
It
truly
ooh
have to be a
what?
village.
That part. That part. That part right there.
Right. I said we
Demetra,
definitely
hey
wanted to be a
Demetra.
part. We definitely wanted to be a part of
Yeah,
furthering and growing that next generation. So that is what we signed up for, right? So
exactly.
Mhm.
people assuming that they know, first of all the way that we knew we were getting ourselves into that. No, I don't think anybody knew that. I don't think anybody would say, yeah, you know what? I knew exactly what I was getting into.
Mm-mm.
But What else about people assuming? What else do they think they know?
They think that they know that the only reason why we're in teaching is for the breaks. Baby, we deserve the breaks.
We worked all the hours anyway. We're just trying to make sure it averages out. We worked all those
Yes,
hours, all the
What
overtime
do
and
they
all the
know?
stuff off the clock, the weekends, the what?
yes, that is
Mm-mm,
true. Because
mm-mm.
some people will say, like, you know how when we can say, oh, that break wasn't long enough, and people who not teaching, they be like, what do you mean? You had a
You got a
week
whole week.
off. You
No,
had
but
this
guess what
off. And it's
else?
like, hold up.
Okay, so
When
listen
the break
about
first
these.
happens, when the break first happens, literally the first couple of days, you're sleeping if you can get sleep in. You don't really enjoy your break until about
Even if you
midway
turn your
through
alarm
the
off, even if you turn your alarm off, don't you still wake
Still
up
wake
at the
up.
same time for the
yes,
first couple of days? True or false?
you do. You
True.
do. And honestly, you don't really start to enjoy your break until about
We did,
day
Demetra. We
three,
did not. We did
4.
not. Right. Day 2, 3, or 4. It's a 5-day break. Correct.
Girl,
Okay.
that part.
Yes, Demetra. See,
Yeah.
Demetra is a fellow Spetsy. I didn't sign up for
We
these
can
big
tell.
caseloads. I didn't sign up for that.
That part.
47.
That
No,
part.
see, I didn't sign
The
up for that.
Listen.
caseloads, the
Girl,
trackers, all the
all of
trackers,
that. All of
Yes.
that.
So
all the
even the
systems.
breaks. Let's go back to breaks. Nobody is jealous
Okay,
of
okay.
teachers until it's break time though. Stop and think about it. Nobody has anything to say. Nobody's like, oh my gosh, I wish I were. And so I tell them, I say, okay, we'll do a fair trade. If you trade, if you're a teacher for the break, you have to be a teacher for a little bit longer or before that, right? We can't
Hmm.
just only trade when it's break time, quote unquote. But again, we worked all those hours. We sure did.
Yeah.
So
Period. Too.
talking about, and so you know how there's so a lot of people don't know, and I'm gonna speak to this just for a minute. Look, let me grab my little cardigan.
Go ahead. Go ahead. We going.
That, in a lot of places, teachers cannot extend their break for any reason. Like, in corporate life, really any other sector of life, you can sprinkle a couple of days on the front end, sprinkle a couple of days on the back, and you'll be okay. But as an educator in most places, you'll be docked. You'll be docked for that day plus all of the holiday pay in between. So while, a lot of people maybe have seen the posts and the memes about, take your 10 days and let me show you how to get 43 days off out of it. That would never be a thing for our educators, right?
That's true.
Demetri
Because
said
it's
hot
like,
days, no pay. Yeah.
right, and then also it's like,
People
yes,
were clutching their pearls when I told them that. I said, let me talk about it some more then. Let me
and
let me
then
let y'all pull up.
right, and then the truth is too, when you do go to take off, it's kind of like you're being reprimanded for, like, I'm taking the days that's been allotted to me. I can take it off. And it's
Can
like, it's a
you?
problem if you take off.
Can you?
But can we though?
It's like,
Is
wait
it
a
is it
second.
okay?
I have 10 sick days that I can use. I'm not feeling well. I'm not
And
coming
hey
in.
Tasha, we saw you out there too. Hey Tosh.
I'm like,
But also the reality is most teachers don't strive to say, okay, I'm gonna take off all this excess. It normally is something essential anyway.
Hmm.
But that's the one of the only jobs that is harder to miss work than to be there, because there's so much prep and planning that goes into
yes,
uh, especially if you teach multiple classes, so different blocks in
Hmm.
elementary, especially if you're, a specials teacher, let alone when we get to secondary, you might have 8 classes with 20 something, 30 kids, and
five,
you have to make
three.
sure you emphasize who can't sit by who, who
Who?
Yeah,
might want to be aware of, has a certain tendency, like all these extra things. Like who else
yeah.
has to manage 240 people, little people, young people daily?
Tiny humans.
Well,
Literally,
middle school, they're not
yeah.
so tiny. So, it's
Medium-sized
Well,
humans.
not so
just young
tiny, but
people.
like you still got to leave the directions. Like when I worked in elementary school, I was leaving. The first initial time I made the directions, I saved them and would just update it each time I needed to be absent, because there's no way I'm rewriting all those directions over and
That
over.
part.
And then when I
There's a
went
Google
strictly
Doc for
to
sure.
middle school, right, Google Doc, and then when I went to middle school, thank God at the time I had an aide. I would say, Miss So and so would tell you what to do. I literally would say that at the beginning. Miss So and
Mhm,
so would tell you what to do. And I
mhm.
always left something that I knew my students knew how to do. that the sub didn't really need to assist them
Mhm.
with. I would
Mhm.
do that because I'm like, I don't got time for you don't really know the tendencies of this kid, and I really can't explain to you how
Oh,
you need to
that's
maneuver with this kid.
ooh,
So I'm just gonna leave
mm,
something that I know they can do, and they're not really gonna ask you for help, and they know what the
Mhm.
expectations are. So I gotta leave
Mhm.
something simple. And I always told my kids, I'm not gonna be here on these. I had to prepare them.
Mhm.
I had to prepare them, and I said, if I
it
pop up,
depends on the kids. Some
Yes, that's
period.
okay.
Uh, no, I can't tell y'all. A couple periods, first period, like, look, y'all know, I need y'all to get this right, this and this.
that's
I
true.
need so you check in with the substitute when they get here. But some, like that period right after lunch, fifth period, no ma'ams.
That
They'll find out.
Woo!
It'll trickle down through the day. Miss
But I
Jones wasn't
always
there.
yeah.
But listen,
mhm.
what Dr. Scott said, it's better to go in six sometimes.
Pick
Sometimes that's how it feels. So
that,
much
get
prep.
that.
Demetra says something, depending on the subs. I know a lot of districts have been trying to work to,
Mhm.
vet the subs differently. But the reality is also right now in the teacher shortage,
It's no subs coming.
Nobody wants to come in. No, nobody wants to teach. Even substitute teach.
Right. And then that
They
pulls the
just want to do
teachers on
it.
their prep and they're not getting a prep. So you're extra tired now
Burnout.
because you're not getting a prep.
Mhm.
Or
Burnt.
I remember this used to happen in my old school. Demetra hit it round the nail. A sub would come for the middle school, but they would get pulled and placed in the
mhm,
elementary, and then they would leave. They were like, they wouldn't come back because they were like, no, I wanted middle school because I know they know they're not with the class all day long, and
mhm,
they knew they
Mhm.
couldn't. Middle school teachers always leave. The kids, for the majority of the time, know what they got to do, and the
mhm,
teachers will leave what they got to do, and so a teacher can work. Hey, they can maybe grade something or do something, but that happened
Mhm.
a lot in my old school. They would get pulled to another school.
Yep.
okay.
And
I
I would
said
say
that's
like the
new. I
same
hadn't
thing
heard
happens
that
for.
one. But they will get
Go ahead.
pulled to different classrooms, and that's when you end
Yep.
up with the math teacher also trying to be the art teacher. Uh, me, and if y'all know me, listen, all right, children. No, it was
I wear you to
we
the
made
butt.
the
I
best. It
wear
was a good
proud.
day. It was a good day, but it was not a planned day at all. I must say that.
Mhm.
We're
That's why
always
I
going
tell
to make
people
the
like
best.
I can teach anything. I can teach anything because not only do
For
I
sure.
teach dance education, y'all know my history of taught kindergarten, taught sixth grade science, social studies. Yep, we done been around this thing. But as an arts educator, we always get pulled because
Hmm.
some people I'm not gonna say at my current workplace, but some schools feel like the arts educators don't do nothing.
Mm.
but be creative.
Oh,
No.
I'll say special teachers, the specials.
Yep,
I was
People
going
specials.
to say
have that
specials,
mindset.
electives, right? Depending on the grade level, they have different names, but that's elective specialist teachers, paraprofessionals, like definitely a lot more flowers need to be given. Seriously.
Mhm.
Seriously.
Mhm. That part.
If
Dr.
you're a
That's
Scott said
special
you
ed
are a
resource
resource
teacher,
teacher. Good luck on even getting a sub.
good luck
Yes.
in getting this up. My goodness.
Yes.
Self-contained. Yes.
and that's facts right there. Like you're a resource teacher because even sometimes like if you're if gen ed teachers don't see you like that, they make an assumption, oh, you ain't doing too much of nothing. It's like, yo,
Mhm.
I'm working. Did you know that I'm working, and then when I'm
Mhm.
absent, nobody's coming in for stuff. Nobody's gonna come in
That thing just doesn't happen.
to cover. Everybody tired. That's the word.
Tired.
All
Tired.
right, all right,
I read
Philly.
that in
All
your
right,
voice.
all right. Yes.
That part.
Tyred. Tyred, Dimitri. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
That
Yeah.
part. That
Mhm.
part. So for
Yeah.
See,
parents, if y'all watching, like y'all getting the TT. Y'all heard a little bit during the pandemic.
Just a
Y'all
splash.
experienced a little bit. Just
Just
taste
a
during the
splash.
the
pandemic.
splash.
Baby. Y'all wanna come teach? Y'all wanna come on? Don't get us wrong. We love what we do. Don't get us wrong. We do love what we do, but
Because we wouldn't continue to do it. And then, like, going back to what Jamila said, once we saw what it was, even not knowing that that's what we signed up for, like, obviously people wouldn't stay in a profession that they don't truly love. So
mhm.
it's definitely a work of the heart. So when people are assuming that the teachers are quitting because of the status, I'm not going to say that it's changed much, like, for the past. So it's not anything new. So it's not that when people are saying, oh, it's because teachers are underpaid. Well, you knew that when you
We
you
do know
knew that when
Yeah, we kind of knew that.
that's one thing we knew getting into
Yeah,
the profession. But also they have a lot of places have increased the year zero teacher salary, so
Mhm.
that bumped everyone up. So it's not that. It's not that. So we're way past that. Like
yeah. I don't
the
think people
whiz,
realize.
we're a long way from home, y'all. We're gone. It's not.
Yeah, it's like you see the salary, you're like, okay, can I really live off that? Let me see.
Mhm.
And you make the judgment if you can or not. But then I feel like every year something else gets added to the plate. And then
Mhm.
me coming from
The
the same
plates. How many
situation,
plates you have?
I'll
You
say
said
that the
the.
table, the dinner
How
table.
many tables you
I
have?
mean,
How many
it's
people
a
does
couple
it sit?
tables.
How many
And then
people does it sit? Do you add
if
extra leaves to slide it
you're a
in?
sped teacher, you're a sped teacher and you're a case manager. So
Mhm.
that's like double on top of just teaching, period. It's like I don't think people fully understand the load a teacher has.
No.
And then the load, if you're a sped teacher, the load you really have.
Mhm.
And it's so
You
so
got
different.
plates,
That's one
tables.
thing I can say I've learned from you in conversation, Jamila. Like from
Mhm.
I'm not even going to say from state to state, because even like not even from region to region, state to state, but it
Right.
could be the school down the street and they handle things completely differently and the staffing is completely different. It's like, well, y'all do what? How are y'all able to pull that off? Y'all have those resources. It's just so that's what I think that's one of the reasons too. Sometimes the things that should be consistent are not.
Or
Very
not,
true.
right.
People have gotten
Sector to
tired.
sector,
Mhm.
like everybody's doing something different. Like I know I hear a lot of conversations, especially here in Tennessee, about like the charter versus public. Like there's a whole kerfuffle even right now here in Nashville about charter versus public school, and it's
But
like we
what?
all are doing the same thing
Right.
of
But
serving
we're not,
children.
and that's the sad part. We're not serving the same. And
Mm,
that's the
Yeah.
sad part.
mm.
Like for one, like
Well, it's not exclusive to those two sectors, though.
right,
It's
you have
not.
That's
private
true.
schools. You
You
have
got the
I said
private
private
let's
too,
pull it all the way back. It's
but
not.
you have
Yeah.
private schools too. But it's
independent
like
schools.
everyone does not, I guess everyone's definition of serve children, it
Mhm.
is different because
Speak on it.
depending on all charter schools don't serve kids the same way, all public schools don't serve kids the same way, all private schools don't serve kids the same way. And don't have your kid come with an IEP or additional needs. It's like you barely doing the bare minimum. You're not even doing the bare minimum here, sir. But you're taking those special education dollars though.
And is.
Like it is like the level I look at them, it's like you're not doing the bare minimum.
Hmm.
Mhm.
But you want
Mhm.
more and more. But where's that money going?
Lots and lots of questions. Lots and questions. And speaking of money, Demetra said yes, more to the plate. And I'm gonna continue to challenge the plate. No, not the. We have several tables and
Please.
seats a community, but no extra money for sure.
Bar heights,
Right.
First of
little
all,
seating
it ain't a
table.
seat. It's like a bench. We got a bunch of benches with all these people sitting on them. Everybody trying to eat. You
Several.
trying to serve everybody.
It's a
Several.
restaurant.
Right, but you know what? I think I saw a post about that the other day. They were like, right now the current state of what teachers feel like for many of them is that imagine going to sit at a restaurant. And so the hostess greets you. So you're like, okay, right. You go to your table, you sit down, but then the hostess walks over to take to take your order. So she's also the waitress, right? Then she's like, all right, I'll be back. So then he or she goes back to also cook the food, plate it up,
Mm-hmm.
That's
quality check,
exactly what it
bring
is.
it back.
I
And they
would
were
feel
like, but
like
the problem is 26 other customers have also walked in because it's your
That's a great
classroom. So it's not
analogy.
like it's a one service one-on-one.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's how a lot of teachers are feeling as they're proceeding to operate and truly function, not just function, but do what they showed up to do, to educate and to serve from their perspective. So
And
yeah,
I'm
I don't know
always
where, I don't know where I
make
saw
this
that.
point. It's never about the kids. Like, I need y'all to be clear.
Yeah,
Whoever is watching, it's never about the kids. The
it's
kids
never
are
the
the reason
kids.
why we stay in this work.
Mhm.
It's the politics. Like, you telling me what I can and cannot teach in my
Oh my
classroom.
God.
Speak on that.
Or you telling
And
me
you
what
ain't
type
never
of
stepped
support?
foot in a class. Like,
Or you telling me, oh, I can't, oh, we don't do academic support, instructional aids. What you mean? We don't do that here. But I'm like, but if they're exhibiting outrageous behaviors, I can get a crisis para for that. But I'm like, why should we wait till then to get support?
Reactive versus proactive.
It's like, what? And I'm just like,
Mhm.
that's okay. This is how we move. And I'm like, you know what? You're so far behind. Like, you're so
yeah.
behind.
And it's the educational system as a whole, though. It's not even just school by school. It's the whole system in the
Yeah.
United
So
States of America.
the creativity is being legislated out of the teachers largely because, again, going back to Tangerine, Tan talked about, what people can and cannot do,
Yeah.
right? Because we know that what's the word I'm looking for, y'all? That narrative is growing, is getting larger. It's the list is getting longer, right? For things, I saw a special where a professor, it was like normally college, post secondary is for those controversial topics to be explored and for people to really dig in and hear multiple perspectives. But he said also because of cancel culture, I'm too excited, y'all. I'm like,
Let's go. Let's go.
because
Let's
of
go.
because of cancel culture that he literally avoids harder topics 100%. So I'm like, imagine being in the space where a lot of your information about, your beliefs, your structures, you should be able to have certain conversation with people, agree or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
And still hear things, give each other feedback, move on, perhaps maybe shape and deepen your understanding, your knowledge. And now that's not happening. So I'm like, what in the world? What is the workforce? The just people, just citizens. What is that about to look like?
Mm-hmm.
Like if we're not
Not creative, not innovative.
well, but also, like largely groupthink slash, oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well that seems cool.
Yep.
Because we're not having
Yep.
a thorough conversation, we're not thoroughly examining it, right?
Yep.
So
Part. That part.
I don't know, and you know how I feel. Like, as a math teacher, we always push in creativity, because that's where I blend
Mm-hmm.
the analysis plus the creativity, the data with SEL, right? It all comes together in my head. And my head is a wonderful place. If
Mm-hmm.
y'all did not know, it's a lot of fun there. If y'all
It
didn't know,
is. It's like a
but
whole park.
it is. Anika Land is wonderful. Y'all, listen. Okay.
It really
Y'all
is.
will visit. Y'all will get to visit a little bit now. Y'all will get to visit during these series. But just even thinking about what we are, like how we're delivering things, right? What's the
Wait, did you
Uh-oh.
freeze? Oh,
Oh, we lost her for a quick second. She'll be back
hold
in
on.
here
He was
shortly.
right in mid
In the
sentence.
midst of it. That's all
Right.
right.
I'm
We
like,
know how
no,
technology can be.
dang. So we were talking about
Yes.
just the legislative with just how it's crazy how much politics is in schools
Yep.
and decide what we'll do, what we can do, what we can't
Mm-hmm.
do, what's accepted, what's not,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll say that, and then depending on whatever, if you're in like maybe the charter school world, the network you're in, it's like this is where culture really comes. It is so important because the network can have a culture, but then your school can have its own culture. But then when you
Woo!
have leadership that comes from a different network or a different
Yep.
system and they bring that culture with them and it collides with the culture
Yep.
that's already there. Oh my gosh. Because I feel that right now. I feel that right now. I'm just like, this is how we move. This, first of all, this is how we talk to each other. Like, this is how we
Speak
talk to
on
each
it.
other.
Speak on it.
And like, I
That
think
part.
people got to understand, like, you have culture at the school level, You have culture at
Mm-hmm.
the district and network level, and those are not the those are
They're
not the
not
same.
the same. Even
And you
climate
can
and
have
culture is
culture
not the
in your
same.
classroom that
Girl, let
culture.
me see if I can get Nika back in 1 second. Keep going,
All
girl.
right.
Keep going.
When I tell you, ladies and gentlemen that are tuning in, culture, school
There
culture,
she go.
it is so important because it affects so much in the school.
Mm-hmm.
Your school
She's
culture
back, y'all.
so much
Something was
in
being a
school.
hater. I don't
I
know what it
gotta tell
is.
you that it really affects. It affects the student's mood. It affects the teacher's mood. It affects how we show up. It affects how the kids show up. It affects how your leadership shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I truly believe it's the top down for me.
I do too. I
Leaders,
It
agree.
has to be intentional though,
the
because a
culture
lot
you
of
create,
times,
if it is not good, you're going to trickle that down into everybody else.
even if you don't create it, if you do nothing, what
Yeah.
is that culture going to be like? That
Okay.
is going
A hot
to,
mess.
whatever those little pockets, those little bad pockets are going to
Mm-hmm.
breed and spread or whatever because there was nothing in place. There was nothing
Mm-hmm.
Very
specific in
true.
place.
And
Very
part
true.
of the one of the ways, like I always think about, I'm a very solutions oriented person. One of the ways you can do that is just simply by listening, really listening, not hearing, listening. And I'm pointing to my chest. Listen with your heart, not just your ears. Like that's a whole nother
Well,
tangent.
that's a big deal, and that's something that I talk to. I'll talk about sometimes because the reality is, y'all, in every walk of not just education, but like professional spaces, right? So when we
Mm-hmm.
think about communication, we think about reading, writing, and speaking. So it's like, when are
Yep.
you really properly ever trained on how to listen authentically? What are some good strategies, some good skills? When do we ever practice that? Unless there's a teacher somewhere, right?
In the
Give
arts classrooms that y'all are snatching up out of the school system.
maybe well in math class, because in math class, but not everybody has a Miss Porter, a Miss Jones, a Miss Bashir. So that's again part of why we're having these conversations and why we're doing the work that we do, because it
Mm-hmm.
can't be in these pockets and isolated in these
Exactly.
buildings. So we
Exactly.
have to send the ripples out.
Exactly. Like one of the goals that I told my students this year, all of them, but especially like my upper elementary scholars because they've been with me for so long. I've
Mhm.
been telling them like, yo, we got to work on communication because y'all conflict resolution skills suck. And I say it just like that. It sucks. We got to work on it.
Hmm.
And I had to take a step back of like when in their elementary school
Not,
life
not
had they
never,
actually had a chance.
not never.
Exactly. Because most schools are very like academic heavy, as we should be. We should be focused on academics. But what
I'm gonna call
else?
time out. Why does it have to
What
be
else?
one or the other? What's my favorite? Y'all know my favorite phrase is what?
Both.
Both.
See, they know.
But
They
you know,
know that's my favorite phrase.
but they took a lot of that out. Remember for
Yep.
kindergarten, you used to get graded or scored on how well you got along with other people, how well you played with others,
Like your
your
citizenship
social skills,
grades were more specific and stuff.
citizenship, so
Mhm.
your
The
socialization. Like
whole
you took
awards.
all that out. All of
Y'all
that is
remember the awards? I
gone.
used to get citizenship awards all the time.
Yeah.
But then you see kids that don't know how to play. Not that they don't want to play, they
They
don't
don't
know
know
how to
how.
play.
Hitting
Mhm.
is
To
not
wrestle.
playing,
Some kids
baby.
wrestle because hey, I'm wrestling them. It's like oh, do you know there are other forms of playing? Like you can play a game,
Mm-hmm.
you can play this, you can like some kids don't know how to play and play safely.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yes, that part.
That's the one.
As a having a having a son, like no, we need to do it safely. Thank you. But
Gentle
yes,
hands.
yes. But I mean, it's that's the thing though. A lot of, especially, and you know what? And I'm gonna be honest. I get annoyed somewhat. I get bothered with how much emphasis is put on post COVID. It's like, okay, we've been playing. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for co-signing, because I'm like, all right, y'all, we know that there's work to do, but class, has there always been work to do?
Always.
Yes.
So also this COVID loss on the academic
Speak on
side,
it.
Then on the other side, you know, they're like, oh, well, the kids, yeah, we just spoke a lot about social skills, yes, and the citizenship and interaction. They're like, okay, well, there'll be delays. So then my question is, what children are y'all talking about? Are we talking about the same kids? Because how is it a loss on one side and delay on the other side? Can we just count it as perhaps a delay? Like they'll get all of it. The more we, let me put my glasses back on because I'm really, listen, but seriously, like one, it's just a delay. Like we have to be so, because that we talked about culture and the mindset. If that's the mindset, imagine how that impacts the culture.
down.
Imagine that
Yeah.
being spoken from, like you said, Tangerine, top down. So admin to educators and then the young people, tiny people, right? Here, their teachers saying things like, "Well, I lost, I'm behind." Right, and all of this, and so all of this breeds into and builds the culture, but it's like almost an undercurrent of the culture if we're not careful. That's why
I
the
agree.
plane has to be tight. It has to be tight when we're talking
I
about
agree.
culture, because the thoughts become the words and the actions. So super intentional, super careful about all of that.
And one thing, like I even stopped saying to my students, especially coming back in, because we were virtual for a year and a half, like that first half COVID, and the whole following year, which I
Wow.
would do it all over
Okay.
again. I loved it. I enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, was it hard? Yes, but I
Yes, it
enjoyed it.
was. Yeah.
Yes, it was hard.
But I had to catch myself by saying, well, we have to do it like this because we were out for a year and a half. Like, what does that mean? Like, no, we chose to learn different. We chose to use a different vehicle to learn.
Mhm.
So, and that's how I've been, talking to the kids of like, no, we just did something different because
And
we
guess
had no
what? Guess what
choice.
you just made me think about? That you're like, oh no, we chose to do it differently, and that's their normal though. Like that. Imagine that. Like if we all sat with that for a moment, like just because we've had previous years and prior ways that we presented this thing, that's all they're gonna know. That was their pre-K year, their third grade
Yep.
year, their
Right,
fifth grade year.
especially
So that's
those.
normal for
Yep,
them. And we
especially
have
those
all these
short
other.
too.
We've been teaching fifth grade for 15 years. But
Mm-hmm.
that year, we're like, oh, well, that's the exception. But we have to remember that it's not an exception for them. Like that was their
Exactly.
year. That's what it was. That's his
Exactly.
own
Exactly.
moment to me in my mind to sit with. Let that marinate
Exactly.
for just a moment.
Right,
So
and
while we
that's
marinating, y'all
yeah.
in the comments, let me know, or let us know rather, how y'all feel about the words COVID loss, learning delay? Because I believe the
Boo
majority
hits.
of us here
Boo
is
hits.
educators. Yeah,
It's a wrap.
talk to
We said
us,
it's a wrap. A
parents, if
pet
you
peeve.
watching. How you feel
Yes.
about it when when you hear your child's school talking about, well, we have to work harder because of the COVID learning loss. Talk to us, parents and teachers.
And I'll say I've even been guilty of that too, because like um being the SPED supervisor where I am, and already working with students who have needs, reading, math, social, emotional, whatever. And then on top of that, like the new fifth graders we have now, I remember I had to remind staff, like some teachers, I'm like, at first I was getting so frustrated, like, oh my God, how do you get to fifth grade? And da 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 da. I was like, wow, while they were still learning how to read, COVID happened.
Hmm.
And then they had probably had struggles before that.
And
Ooh,
guess what?
you
While
said
they
it.
were learning how to read, they couldn't see their teacher's mouth either to learn the
Right. You can't
pronunciation
see
and
my mouth to
pronunciation.
really understand the
Hmm.
sounds. So there is an influx of kids, fifth grade, still learning to read,
Those
you know,
phonetics for sure.
still learning to read. And it's just like I have to remind myself of that. And also I push the students to say, because they can get caught up in, oh, I can't, and I don't know
I
how
Mhm.
just
I
can't.
can't. I say, yes, you can.
Yet.
Stop. I said, hold
Yet.
it. Yes, you can. We're going to help you be a better reader. You can. Stop saying
Mhm.
I can't, because you can. And I noticed that's what they relied on for so long. I
Mm-hmm.
can't. I can't.
That
Oh, I'm
people give
stuck.
them their way out.
Or
Yeah.
right. Or used to someone just being there to do it. And I'm like, no, that's not how that's not how Miss Bashir works. That's not what I do. That's not what we're doing. But it's like what I find out, I'm like, listen, wait till you get these skills down packed. I say you're gonna be an amazing reader. you know, and
Mhm.
it's like, and it's the truth. Once you get those skills down, you're going to be an amazing reader.
Mhm. I agree
You
with
know,
that.
that's something I reiterate to those kids who are struggling.
But that, you know what, that emphasizing that yet, the power of yet, that growth mindset. So and you know what, maybe that needs to be the brush while we out here painting. What this year is, we have to do all this work on the backside of these COVID delays and COVID losses. Maybe we need to paint it with a growth mindset brush yet, right? Because
Yeah.
imagine just that, like imagine the hope. So we keep talking about mindset. Imagine the hope that it gives
Exactly.
to the teachers. You make those goals smaller for the students to chunk. Okay, you didn't get it yet, but look, you got three more this time than you did the last
Mhm.
time. You do so all
Look
those
at
little
how far you've
comparisons.
come. Look at the
Mhm.
progress. I think that's something else we have to do better at showing kids how far they have come. Like, look at all
Yes.
the growth you've made.
What do we tend to do? Well, you need to be here. You're not there yet. You're
Here's the
not there yet.
bar.
So that's not the right use of the word yet. That's not the right yet to use. Not that way. Not in that context. But yeah, all
Mhm.
those there's so many stages in between, right? I always like to Tangerine will appreciate things. I always like to use colors, right? When we talk about poles, even if we're talking about opinions, okay, we have black and we have white, but there's so many shades of gray in between, right? When we're working and
Mhm.
moving and interacting. So I mean, I know that in life there's black and white people, quote unquote,
Y'all just
right?
made me think about something.
But there's so much gray to me.
Y'all
And
just made me think about something as we're talking about the kids and how we give them hopes, right? That's what we do. We are hope dealers out
yes,
here for
we
these
are.
children. Straight
Yeah.
slanging hope, right? But do we do that for our teachers though?
No, no,
I'm sorry, what?
no.
Like,
Not,
where's
you
the
know
hope
what?
dealing for us?
So, okay,
It
okay.
depends
So
on
this is almost a whole
it
nother
depends on your
conversation.
principal. It depends on your
I
principal.
was gonna say it's a whole nother conversation, and it
It
depends
depends
on
on
a
the
lot,
principal.
not
Yes.
just the principal though, because the principal, we can talk about intentions versus plan versus inspecting what you expect, because you can set the intent, you can roll out the plan, but are you inspecting it? Or are you just saying, okay, it's rolling, it's going? So it depends on so much. To me, it
I
really
feel
does.
like that's still part of, like, I'll say, the leadership, because leadership set the plan, and also, like, teachers implement it, and then leaders will come do check-ins, like, are you doing the plan, are you following the plan?
But in that case, it's just the leader's plan, though, because if it's on them to make sure that their school culture and the morale is tight, that's not necessarily anything the teachers extra would need to do. That's for them to do, interacting with their staff and educators.
Okay, I
Because
can see
I can't implement my own morale, but I did fill out the survey and told you that I don't want another pizza party for a morale booster, right? I want something maybe a little different where we can interact, more, even if it's something, a change of scenery. You know how there's all these different things. And I think that's why I said that this is a whole nother conversation to me. A
I
lot
wrote
of
it
different
down.
things that, I mean, you wrote it down. Yes, put that in the notes.
that.
Hopefully.
Um, that the administrators do, trying to, because I don't believe that any, administrator, central office down, doesn't want to have a good culture. Some don't
Exactly.
know what to do, depending on their personality type too.
Mhm.
That if you're an introvert, that might be a little much for you to try to work up, certain plans and logistics and things to do with your staff. Slash, did you ask the staff?
Mm,
Slash, did you hear what they didn't like? So y'all know how I feel about that. Okay. Even if people can't tell you exactly what they like, find out what they don't like though. That's
Mhm.
equally as important.
But I
So
like food. I like food. You keep that, just ask them no. I like the food.
no, and
but like
I
but
just
like and maybe with like a mixer game environment where people could interact, right?
Mhm.
Where it's
yeah,
not
that
okay,
goes
y'all
back
can
to,
walk by
yeah,
and get this pizza and go back to
that's
your room and work.
no, it's like, it
No.
again, that's all culture stuff, like how
Mhm.
you,
Mhm.
because like you said, you can have the food, but it's like, okay, are you giving us time to talk to each other, to sit down, like, oh, I haven't,
Exactly.
just have fellowship and things with teachers, because it's like, oh yes, you had a great idea, let me feed my staff, with
But why
Exactly.
is it important though? Let's I
Stop
don't
on it
know.
and speak on it.
I don't know. I don't know if that's when I popped off for a minute. But did y'all talk about that? What so why is it important though? Like why should schools have a good culture at least amongst the staff first?
Child sustainability. Like when
It
you
also
are
helps
having
you,
fun, you
it
want to
helps you,
stay.
it helps you to
This is
stay. It
point
helps
blank
you
period.
say
Mhm.
tomorrow's a brand new day. It wasn't that big of a deal with me and Miss Brown. We can get through this. And it helps you to push through.
Mhm.
Hmm.
It's just like you need teachers need someone to pour into them, just like teachers got to pour into kids. It's like if I'm steady pouring into the kids and pouring into the kids, nobody's pouring into me. That will weigh me down little by little by little by little to the point it's like you're like done. You get to the point where you're done. I don't even want to be here no more. I don't want to be here.
Burnt.
I need to leave.
Listen, and even with the pouring in, so imagine, because we all vent to somebody sometime, but think about the difference when you've spoken to or vented to someone that's not in education. It's way too much backstory. I have to tell you before I can get to the point of
True
my
story.
never mind. Never because I'm just getting more frustrated. I'm trying to
Never
tell
mind.
you what's wrong, but because we have our own jargon, our own um all the
Yeah, you got to do a lot
abbreviations.
of remember Mr. So and so. Remember I told you about him. Remember Miss So. Remember I
Right.
told you she da 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 da. God
All,
forbid they don't remember.
you call
You
your
remember I told you da, da, da,
identification.
da. And then it's
All
like,
you
oh
have to
yeah,
say
yeah,
is
yeah,
the
yeah.
title. Remember the such and such? Yes. Right. And that's it.
Mhm.
So what
Remember that
happened today?
SELPD that they
Mm-hmm.
really didn't dig into and they told us to go implement it?
Mm-hmm.
Now I have to
Or
explain
that
what SEL is.
or that program that didn't give us enough time to implement to even show any type of results from. And we're on to the next thing now. Or just the lack of sufficient time to get deliverables done. Just
Yeah.
I was like, you want
Yeah.
what? I was like, I'm sorry, that's not coming. You're not going to get that. I'm gonna be honest with you right now. That's not
I
realistic.
get it to you. I can.
When can you
Yeah.
have it done? I don't even know when can I have it done because you're asking me for this. Mr. So and so is asking me for this, and then a lot of the things that, and I'm talking from a sped lens. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of things I'll say leadership can ask for. It sounds so simple, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not simple to get.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like we had to do I think they wanted like the exact accommodations for kids for testing, like all the way down to the
For
minute.
all of them?
Yes, like how
Yes.
long is how
Mm-hmm.
long is the break? I said, wait a second. I can give you the accommodations real quick because that's gonna show up on my report. The fact that you want to know how long the breaks and everything are, that requires me to go into every kid's IEP and document how many minutes their break is going to be.
Oh, Jesus.
That was so simple for you to say, but it's not so simple
But the
for me to
work.
do. And I never forget, I sent my principal. I don't know, y'all. If y'all watch Dave Chappelle, right? You remember the
Mm-hmm.
haters ball? I was like, I hate you. I hate you. I don't even know you, and I hate you. I sent that me I sent that GIF. I hate you. I hate you. I don't like you, and I hate your guts. Like I was just like, this is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is crazy. I spent hours in front of my computer doing that.
Yeah, well, you could have been doing something else.
Could have been doing something.
Yes.
I'm like, here. These are the accommodations.
Uh-oh. We lost your sound, Anika.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm back.
No,
There you
No,
I
go.
hear
I was just co-signing an amen, like, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
you. But yes, it's
It's the
like,
deliverables.
yo, it's like, and then, but I
So
realized you have to
that's something
show.
in my capacity for sure now, a campus that I'm supporting. I've definitely been advocating like, listen, just the timing, like make sure we have time
Mm-hmm.
to let them
Mm-hmm.
process, implement these things, because, especially when expectations are what happens a lot sometimes that last day, right before a break
Mm-hmm.
will be PD.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But it shouldn't be PD the whole day if we want certain things ready to roll when we come back from the
Yep.
break and if we want certain adjustments and things to be implemented, like certain focal points. Like I know we were talking a lot about addressing misconceptions, in a training I did with the staff. So it's like we let them have some time to let it roll, right? Let it go,
Mm-hmm.
sit with it. Because again, time frames, deliverables, expectations versus realities. Yeah,
Mhm.
sometimes it's a miss. So we're trying to do better to make sure it's not a miss.
I think one word that's been popping out at me a lot here lately is cognitive overload, or two words rather. Like, we as educators get so much information, whether it's a PD or the little tiny human is telling me about what they did this weekend, plus thinking about the deliverables that I need to turn in, plus writing the lesson plan. Like, you got decision fatigue and cognitive overload happening at the same time.
And I think we talked about this once before, especially for decision fatigue. You remember it says something like the average person makes about 6 to 7,000 decisions a day. And you can easily see that happening. Like, okay, when your alarm goes off, am I going to wake up now or hit the snooze? Okay, what am I going to do first to get ready? Am I going to make my call? So all different, a bunch of decisions throughout the day. But for a teacher, I think it became like 17,000.
I
And
go
then
find those.
especially
I can believe it.
yeah, they're especially depending on even the grade level or the grade bands, right? It changes that much more. So again, going back to what we said earlier about those sub plans, write down, well, wait, don't put such and such by such and such on the seating chart. Where I think Demetria earlier was like, right, that kid that should never go to the bathroom by themselves or never
Yes.
leave the room during the time, right? So many decisions. So yes, cognitive fatigue, decision fatigue.
It's a lot. And
Nah,
don't be, and don't,
that's not
don't be,
accurate. I don't know
don't
if
be
y'all
According to
see 15.
edweek.org.
but
No.
don't be a sped
Mm-mm.
teacher too, or a sped professional, because I would double those decisions.
I'm like,
Oh,
yeah, that's not. I've seen larger numbers. I don't know what year is this article? Well, that you because first of all,
2021,
mm-mm.
See, it's a year
according
old.
to edweek.
It's old.
Listen, because again, you can think about just without you being in your educator space, how many little decisions you make throughout the day, right?
Yes.
So
That's those other hats,
And then if you
wives, mothers,
supervise,
and sisters.
right, and then if you
right.
supervise as well, because I'll
Mhm.
say I support teachers at my school being a special supervisor, but then I also support the related service providers. I'm trying to make sure your schedule good, any conflicts with that schedule. They can be asking me questions, and I got some decisions I got to make for them. And then I have my special education teacher, my teachers, my L teacher.
Mhm.
Remembering to check in with them. How y'all doing? The
That
paraprofessionals
part.
that come in, ACS worker that comes in because there's something going on with the family. Hold on one
Mhm.
second. I'll be right there. Do you need the kid to come too? No, you
Same.
do? Yes? No? Okay, let me grab the clinician too. Touch him because me and my clinicians, they're my right and left hand. Like, we a team right here. And like just making sure to make sure you touch base with everybody, and then all the decisions you make, and then you got to meet with your leadership. Go to this grade team meeting, go to that grade team meeting, go to that grade team meeting. They got questions, I got questions, you got questions about
You've
this.
been in my school.
So again, not having to explain that background knowledge, like we say when you're venting with a fellow educator, right?
Mm-hmm.
So y'all, I know, because I was like, we can talk all day, but the first one is a wrap. Clearly, we had some pet peeves to get off our chest today. Yes, right.
Yes.
So we thank y'all for listening in, chiming into the conversation, but also know that for the next series, we have some giveaways that'll be coming up. So make sure you look out for those posts and you're listening in on that. But also, again, since we got off our chest now, we got out the way. We are also going to be giving some strategies and some tools to use for some of these things along the way. So culture building at home, on a campus, right? Mindset things. So lots. We got out the way. We got it out the way now. We got off our
We got
chest.
some things on that. We had to just break the ice to
You had
just
to get it out.
share
Yeah.
some stuff first. Hey,
We had
You
some
had to get it
more
out.
we had to let it out. We had to let out some steam. Come on.
Right, and y'all were co-signing in the comments, so clearly y'all understood too. So,
I feel it. Y'all feel it on your chest.
yes,
Sure was.
yes. So the
Yes.
next one is what, Sunday?
28th.
Yep.
The 28th.
The
No,
27th
27th.
on
My
Sunday
bad.
at 7. Yes,
Watch the flyers, y'all. Watch the flyers.
yes.
Pay attention to the flyers we post. They definitely have the correct date and time.
Mhm. Bye-bye.
So yes. Bye, everybody.
See you
See you on the
guys. Make sure you're
Tuesday.
following all of us.
Yes.